The hidden edge. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her neural interface as she approached the Galactic Council's central chamber. The massive crystalline structure floating above New Geneva hadn't lost its ability to take her breath away, even after 3 years as Earth's chief scientific advisor. Above her, the artificial star that powered the station pulsed with a gentle blue light, a testament to the advanced engineering of the collective's eldest races. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity was the newest addition to the collective, barely worth noticing. Their ships were quaint, their technology primitive, their civilization young. Elena allowed them their assumptions. It had been part of the plan all along. The council chamber doors recognized her biosignature and slid open silently. Inside, representatives from over 300 species occupied their designated platforms, their forms ranging from pure energy beings to silicon-based crystalline structures. At the center, the Council of Five, the oldest and most powerful civilizations in known space, conducted their monthly assembly. The human representative may approach, announced High Chancellor Vox, their photonic form shimmering with artificial gravity waves. Elena stepped forward, her footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. Honorable Council, Elena began, her voice steadied despite the gravity of what she was about to reveal. Earth requests emergency speaking rights regarding the Sigma Void. A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber. The Sigma Void, a region of space where all known forms of faster-than-light travel failed, had frustrated the collective's greatest minds for millennia. What could the humans possibly contribute? Chancellor Vox's voice carried a note of condescension. Earth has been part of the collective for barely a decade. The Sigma Void has resisted our efforts for over 8,000 years. What insight could your species possibly offer? Elena activated her neural interface, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. We've solved it, she stated simply. And we've been through it. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages, while others emitted electromagnetic pulses of disbelief. The Council of Five's platforms hummed with increased energy output, their equivalent of agitation. Impossible, declared Sinra, the crystalline representative of the lithoid consciousness. Our sensors monitor all quantum fluctuations within 50 light-years of the void. No ship has entered or exited. Elena allowed herself a small smile. That's because you were looking for the wrong signatures. With a thought, she expanded the holographic display. The void isn't a natural phenomenon. It's artificial. A massive cloaking device left by something far older than any of our civilizations. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Elena continued, humanity discovered this truth 40 years ago, before we even joined the collective. We've spent those years developing the technology to penetrate it, and what we found inside. She paused, letting the tension build. Well, that's why I'm here today. Chancellor Vox's form pulsed rapidly, a sign of intense emotion. You claim your species, which hasn't even mastered basic antimatter containment, has achieved what the combined efforts of the collective could not. We never said we hadn't mastered antimatter containment, Elena corrected. We simply never demonstrated that we had. There's a difference. Understanding began to dawn across the chamber. The humans' apparent technological limitations, their eager acceptance of even the most basic aid, their careful display of gradual progress. It had all been an act. Why? Demanded Sinra. Why this deception? Because we needed to know, Elena replied. We needed to understand how the collective truly treated its newer members, whether power was shared or merely displayed, whether wisdom was taught or simply flaunted. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, sensors, and awareness nodes of various delegates. We needed to know if you were ready for what we found inside the void. Chancellor Vox's form stabilized, their tone now deadly serious. And what exactly did you find, Representative Rodriguez? Elena's expression grew grave. A warning, and a weapon. One powerful enough to end not just civilizations, but the very concept of faster-than-light travel itself. The void isn't just a barrier, it's a quarantine zone. And something inside it is waking up. The chamber erupted once again, but Alina stood her ground. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. They had hidden their true capabilities, played the role of the humble newcomer, all while building the technologies and alliances they would need. Now, as ancient machinery stirred within the void, their patience would finally pay off. The game of pretense was over. The real test of humanity's place in the galaxy was about to begin. Proving ground. The next 12 hours transformed the Galactic Council's central chamber into a war room. Holographic displays showed the Sigma Void from every conceivable angle, while Earth's data streamed across countless screens. Alina stood at the center, surrounded by the Council of Five and their top scientists. The entity within the void is what we call a circuit breaker, Alina explained, manipulating the holographic model with practiced ease. It's a machine designed to sever the quantum threads that make faster-than-light travel possible. Think of it as a cosmic kill switch. Chancellor Vox's photonic form rippled with concern. Who would build such a thing? And why? We found fragments of records, Alina replied, bringing up streams of alien code that had taken Earth's best quantum computers years to partially decrypt. They called themselves the Precursors, and they built it as a last resort against something they called the Void Hunters. Shinra's crystalline form vibrated at a frequency that indicated deep disturbance. In all our archaeological studies, we've never found evidence of these precursors. That's because they didn't want to be found, Alina said. The circuit breaker wasn't just a weapon, it was a warning system. If the Void Hunters ever returned, it would activate, making interstellar travel impossible and forcing every civilization to remain isolated. Better fragmented survival than united extinction, according to their logs. The chamber's artificial atmosphere grew heavy with tension. Delegate Zix9, representing the energy beings of the Photonic Collective, spoke up. You said it's waking up. How long do we have? Alina projected a timeline. The system is running its boot sequence. We estimate 3 standard months before it reaches critical activation. When that happens, every quantum thread in a 1,000 light-year radius will be severed. Ships in FTL transit will be torn apart. Quantum communications will cease. The galaxy as we know it will fragment into thousands of isolated regions. Can it be stopped? Chancellor Vox demanded. Yes, Alina said, but not with conventional technology. The precursors built it to resist any method of FTL travel or weapon known to them. But humanity. She paused, allowing herself a small smile. We developed something they never imagined. She activated her neural interface again, and a new hologram appeared, a massive ship unlike anything the collective had ever seen. This is the Terra Dawn. While we were playing the role of technological newcomers, we were actually building her in a fold of space-time just outside this reality. She uses what we call inverse quantum mechanics. Instead of riding quantum threads like conventional FTL, she generates her own. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. What Alina was describing should have been impossible according to every known law of physics. Impossible, declared Shinra. Such technology would require an understanding of quantum mechanics far beyond even the council races, which is exactly why we kept it hidden, Alina countered. Humanity learned early in its development that showing all your cards too soon rarely ends well. We needed to understand the political landscape of the galaxy before revealing our true capabilities. Chancellor Vox's form pulsed rapidly, a sign that Alina had learned meant intense calculation. The deception is unprecedented. The penalties for concealing advanced technology will have to wait, Alina interrupted firmly. Right now, the Terra Dawn is the only ship in the galaxy capable of entering the void and stopping the circuit breaker. You can put us on trial after we save faster-than-light travel itself. A tense silence fell over the chamber. Finally, Chancellor Vox spoke. How many ships do you actually have? Alina's smile widened. Enough. The Terra Dawn isn't alone. We have a fleet of similar vessels hidden throughout the galaxy. We call it the Shadow Fleet. And before you ask, yes, we've been watching, protecting, preparing. Earth hasn't just been developing technology. We've been serving as silent guardians while we evaluated whether the collective was ready for the truth. The implications slowly sank in. Humanity hadn't just fooled the collective about their technological level. They'd been actively operating throughout collective space, undetected by even the most advanced scanning systems. The real question, Elena continued, isn't how we did it or why we hid it. The question is, will you work with us now? Because what's coming isn't just a threat to FTL travel. The precursors didn't build the circuit breaker on a whim. If it's activating, it means their scans detected something. The Void Hunters may be returning, and we'll need every advantage we can get. The council chamber fell silent as the weight of Elena's words settled over the assembled delegates. Humanity hadn't just been hiding their technology. They'd been preparing for a war that the rest of the galaxy didn't even know was coming. And now time was running out. The ancient threat. The Pterodon's bridge hummed with activity as Elena stood beside Captain Sarah Chen, watching the massive view screen that dominated the forward wall. The Sigma Void loomed before them, a perfect sphere of absolute darkness that defied every known law of physics. All systems are ready, Sarah announced, her hands dancing over the quantum interface controls. Around them, the bridge crew, a mix of humans and trusted allies from various species, worked with practiced efficiency. The Shadow Fleet is in position. Elena nodded, her neural interface linking her directly to the ship's advanced systems. The past week had been a whirlwind of preparation and political maneuvering. While most of the collective had accepted the necessity of working with humanity, some species had withdrawn their representatives in protest, refusing to believe that humanity had achieved such technological supremacy in secret. Launch quantum probes, Sarah ordered. A series of sleek, dark objects shot from the Pterodon's bow, disappearing into the void. Unlike conventional probes, these used humanity's inverse quantum mechanics to generate their own space-time fabric. First telemetry coming in, announced Dr. Kenzo Yamamoto, their chief scientist. His holographic displays filled with streams of data. The void. It's not just a barrier. It's a pocket universe. Elena leaned forward. Can you elaborate? The precursors didn't just build a weapon, Kenzo explained, his eyes wide with wonder. They created an entire bubble of altered space-time with its own physical laws. That's why conventional FTL doesn't work here. The quantum threads don't exist in this space. A new voice joined the conversation, the crystalline tones of Ambassador Xinra, who had insisted on joining the mission despite their species' initial skepticism. Fascinating. The energy requirements for such a construction would be beyond anything we thought possible, Elena finished. The precursors weren't just advanced. They were operating on a level that makes our most extraordinary achievements look primitive. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple quantum signatures detected, called out Lieutenant Rivera from Tactical. They're coming from inside the void. The view screen shifted, showing ghostly images of massive structures floating in the darkness. They were unlike anything Elena had ever seen. Geometric shapes that seemed to fold in on themselves, defying normal space. The circuit breaker? Sarah asked. No, Elena replied, her neural interface processing the data streams. These are older, much older. She paused, her face paling. These are Void Hunter vessels. They've been here all along, trapped in the pocket universe. The implications hit everyone simultaneously. The precursors hadn't just built a warning system. They'd created a prison. And now that prison was failing. New contacts. Rivera shouted. The structures. They're moving. The geometric shapes began to unfold, revealing configurations that hurt the eyes to look at. They operated on principles that seemed to ignore the basic rules of reality itself. Battle stations. Sarah ordered calmly. Alert the Shadow Fleet. Begin emergency quantum field generation. Elena opened a channel to the Galactic Council. "This is Dr. Rodriguez. We've made first contact with the Void Hunters. They're not just coming. They're already here. And they're waking up." The massive shapes continued to unfold, each movement revealing new impossibilities. The Pterodon's sensors struggled to make sense of what they were seeing. These weren't just ships. They were reality-warping engines of destruction that had been sealed away by the precursors for a reason. "Multiple quantum breaches detected," Kenzo reported, his voice tense. "They're trying to break through the void's barriers. If even one of those things gets out..." Shinra's crystalline form vibrated with fear. "They won't," Elena declared. She opened a channel to the entire Shadow Fleet. "This is what we've prepared for. Humanity didn't hide its true nature out of fear or deception. We hid because we knew this day would come. We found the precursors' warnings decades ago, and we've spent every moment since then preparing for this fight." The Pterodon's quantum drives powered up, filling the ship with a deep resonance. Around them, the Shadow Fleet moved into attack formation. Hundreds of ships that had been hidden throughout the galaxy, now revealing themselves for the first time. "The Void Hunters destroyed the precursor civilization," Elena continued. "They nearly wiped out all life in the galaxy. But the precursors learned something vital about them. Something they left in their final messages. The Void Hunters can't comprehend innovation. They understand patterns, technology, physics, but they can't grasp the concept of thinking beyond established rules." She smiled grimly. "That's humanity's greatest strength. We've never cared about rules. We break them. We rewrite them. We imagine impossible things and then make them real. The precursors built this prison because they couldn't defeat the Void Hunters. But they left us the keys because they knew that someday a species would come along that could." The geometric horrors continued to unfold, their impossible shapes now filling the view screen. But Elena felt no fear, only determination. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment, developing technologies that even the Void Hunters couldn't predict. The real war for the galaxy was about to begin. Breaking point. The void erupted in impossible colors as the first Void Hunter vessel breached the quantum barrier. Reality itself seemed to bend around its geometric form, space-time twisting like paper in a storm. The Pterodon's crew watched in stunned silence as the ancient horror emerged from its prison. "Multiple quantum distortions detected," Lieutenant Rivera reported, her voice steady despite the existential terror unfolding before them. "They're attempting to rewrite local space-time constants." Elena's neural interface blazed with incoming data. The Void Hunters weren't just ships or weapons. They were reality-changing engines that could alter the fundamental laws of physics within their sphere of influence. No wonder the precursors had failed to defeat them through conventional means. "Shadow Fleet, execute Pattern Omega," Captain Chen ordered. "Remember your training. Don't try to match their pattern. Break it." The human fleet moved with practiced precision, but not in any formation that traditional military doctrine would recognize. Each ship took a position that seemed random, almost chaotic. The Void Hunters' geometric forms shifted, attempting to analyze and counter the seemingly illogical deployment. "They're confused," Elena observed, watching the enemy's movements through her neural feed. "They're trying to find the pattern, but there isn't one. Every ship is moving according to its captain's instincts, not any predetermined strategy." Ambassador Xinra's crystalline form pulsed with understanding. "Chaos as a weapon. Brilliant." The first Void Hunter attack came as a wave of altered spacetime, attempting to rewrite the quantum laws that allowed the human ships to function. But the Pterodon and her sister ships were ready. Their inverse quantum drives didn't just ignore the changed laws. They generated their own localized reality. "Return fire," Sarah commanded. "All ships, engage at will." The Shadow Fleet's response wasn't the coordinated barrage that centuries of military doctrine would have demanded. Instead, each ship attacked in its own unique way, using variations of humanity's inverse quantum technology that had been specifically developed by their individual crews. Some ships fired conventional weapons through patches of altered spacetime, creating unpredictable attack vectors. Others generated quantum singularities that interfered with the Void Hunters' reality warping fields. A few even rammed directly into the geometric horrors, their specially designed hulls disrupting the ancient vessel's perfect mathematical forms. They can't adapt, Elena realized, watching the battle unfold. Their entire existence is based on recognizing and manipulating patterns, but we're not giving them any patterns to work with. Each attack is unique, each defense improvised. The Void Hunters' response was to increase the intensity of their reality distortion, expanding the zone of altered physics. Ships from the Galactic Council's observation fleet, watching from what they thought was a safe distance, suddenly found their quantum drives failing as the laws that governed faster-than-light travel were rewritten. Council ships are losing power, Rivera reported. They'll be torn apart if they can't maintain their quantum fields. Divert 20% of the Shadow Fleet to evacuation operations, Sarah ordered without hesitation. We didn't spend decades preparing just to watch allies die. As human ships moved to rescue the stranded Council vessels, more Void Hunters emerged from the prison dimension. Their geometric forms seemed to learn, evolving into increasingly complex shapes that defied comprehension. They're attempting to establish a baseline pattern, Dr. Yamamoto reported from his science station. If they succeed in normalizing space-time according to their physics, our advantages will be neutralized. Elena's mind raced through possibilities, her neural interface processing combat data faster than organic thought. Then she saw it, a pattern in their anti-pattern strategy. The Void Hunters weren't just learning. They were calculating every possible variation of chaos, turning humanity's randomness into a predictable dataset. All ships, cut neural links, she ordered suddenly. Switch to manual control only. Sarah turned to her, startled. That'll reduce our reaction speed by orders of magnitude. Exactly, Elena smiled. We're thinking too perfectly. Our neural interfaces let us calculate optimal chaos, but optimal chaos is still a pattern. We need true human unpredictability. We need mistakes, hesitation, fear, inspiration, all the messy organic impulses that can't be quantified. Understanding dawned across the bridge. The neural interfaces that humanity had developed weren't just tools for controlling their advanced technology. They were a crutch that made their actions too precise, too calculable. All ships acknowledging, Rivera reported. Switching to manual control. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Shadow Fleet's movements became less precise but more erratic. Ships executed maneuvers that no computer would ever suggest. Attacks were launched at tactically inadvisable moments, and defensive patterns fell into genuine chaos. The Void Hunters' geometric forms seemed to shudder, their reality warping effects becoming unstable as they failed to predict and counter the truly random actions of human intuition. It's working, Shinrei observed, their crystalline form vibrating with excitement. They cannot compute true irrationality. But victory wasn't assured. More Void Hunters continued to emerge from the prison dimension, and the battle was far from over. The true test of humanity's preparation and their ability to protect the galaxy was just beginning. New dawn. The battle had raged for what felt like eternity, though Elena's chronometer showed only 6 hours had passed. The space around the Sigma Void had become a graveyard of twisted metal and distorted spacetime, where the laws of physics changed from one moment to the next. Hull integrity at 40%, Rivera reported, her console sparking from a recent reality fluctuation. 3 more Void Hunters emerging from the prison dimension. The bridge of the Terra Dawn was barely recognizable. Emergency force fields contained multiple breaches, and several crew members were operating their stations while wearing emergency quantum stabilization suits to protect them from the changing laws of physics. Status of the Council evacuation, Sarah asked, wiping blood from a cut above her eye. Complete, Shinra responded, their crystalline form showing cracks from the strain of the battle. All collective ships are clear of the combat zone, but we've lost contact with 30% of the Shadow Fleet. Elena stood at her station, her disabled neural interface feeling like a phantom limb. The strategy of using pure human unpredictability had worked initially, but the Void Hunters were adapting. They couldn't predict individual human actions, but they were learning to predict the range of possible human responses. "Dr. Yamamoto," she called out, "what's the status of the circuit breaker?" Kenzo's hands flew over his manual controls. "Still charging. The Void Hunter's emergence has accelerated its activation sequence. We have maybe 20 minutes before it severs all quantum threads in the galaxy." Elena closed her eyes, processing everything they'd learned about their ancient enemy. The Void Hunters weren't just weapons or ships. They were the ultimate expression of order, seeking to impose absolute mathematical certainty on a chaotic universe. The precursors had fought them with increasingly advanced technology, but that had only given the Hunters more patterns to analyze and counter. Then it hit her. "Captain," she said, her voice carrying the weight of revelation. "I know how to end this, but you're not going to like it." Sarah turned to her, reading something in her old friend's expression. "What are you thinking?" "The circuit breaker isn't just a weapon," Elena explained. "It's a reset button. The precursors built it to sever quantum threads. Yes, but what if that wasn't its primary purpose? What if they built it to create a universe the Void Hunters couldn't predict?" Understanding dawned across the bridge. "You want to let it activate," Sarah said. "Not exactly." Elena moved to the main tactical display. "I want to overload it. The Void Hunters exist by imposing mathematical order on reality. They survive by predicting and controlling quantum interactions. But what if we could create something even they couldn't calculate? True quantum randomness," Dr. Yamamoto whispered. "Not just unpredictable actions, but unpredictable reality itself." Elena nodded. The Pterodon's inverse quantum drive doesn't just ignore local spacetime laws, it generates new ones. If we overload the circuit breaker while simultaneously activating every inverse drive in the fleet, we could create a cascade of competing spacetime laws, Sarah finished. A region where reality itself becomes truly random. "The ultimate chaos bomb," Shinrei observed, their crystalline form resonating with both fear and admiration. "But the cost?" Sarah looked at her friend. "We'd be sacrificing the entire Shadow Fleet. Even if we survive, humanity would lose the technology we spent decades developing." Elena met her gaze steadily. "We built this fleet to protect the galaxy. This is how we do it." After a long moment, Sarah nodded. "Send the orders. All ships to converge on the circuit breaker. Prepare for simultaneous inverse drive overload on my mark." The Shadow Fleet moved as one for the first time in the battle, ships burning their engines past safety limits to reach position. The Void Hunters, sensing a pattern at last, moved to intercept them. "They're predicting our convergence point," Rivera warned. "Multiple reality distortion fields incoming." "Let them come," Elena said softly. "For once, let them think they understand." The Pterodon shuddered as reality itself seemed to tear around them. Warning klaxons blared as the ship's systems registered physics violations that shouldn't have been possible. "Circuit breaker at 90% charge," Kenzo reported. "Inverse drives ready for overload." Sarah took a deep breath. "All ships, execute." What happened next defied description. The circuit breaker's energy combined with hundreds of inverse quantum drives, creating their own localized laws of physics. The resulting cascade turned space itself into a maelstrom of competing realities. Elena watched through the viewscreen as the geometrically perfect forms of the Void Hunters began to break down, unable to maintain their mathematical certainty in a region where mathematics itself became meaningless. The ancient horrors, faced with a reality they couldn't predict or control, began to fold in on themselves, their perfectly ordered structures collapsing into quantum uncertainty. The victory, when it came, was total. But so was the cost. The Shadow Fleet was gone, its ships torn apart by the same chaos they had unleashed. The Terra Dawn, protected by Elena's last-minute modifications, survived but would never generate its own quantum field again. The technology that humanity had spent decades developing in secret was lost, sacrificed to save the galaxy from an enemy that had nearly destroyed the precursors themselves. 3 days later, Elena stood before the Galactic Council again. The chamber was more crowded than ever, with representatives from every spacefaring species gathered to hear humanity's explanation. "The threat is ended," she reported simply. "The Void Hunters are destroyed, and the Sigma Void has collapsed. The galaxy is safe, at the cost of humanity's greatest achievements." Chancellor Vox observed, "You sacrificed technology that could have made your species the dominant power in known space." Elena smiled. "That was never our goal. We developed our technology in secret not to gain power, but because we knew this day would come. The precursors left warnings about the Void Hunters, yes, but they also left something else. Hope. Hope that someday a species would evolve that could think beyond patterns, beyond order, beyond the predictable advance of technology." She looked around the chamber. "We hid our true capabilities not out of fear or ambition, but because we needed to understand the galaxy we were protecting. And now that the crisis is past, we offer everything we learned, all our research, all our discoveries, freely to the collective. Because the greatest pattern we need to break is the cycle of species hoarding knowledge and power." The chamber erupted in discussion, but Elena wasn't finished. The Void Hunters weren't destroyed by superior technology. They were destroyed by chaos, by unpredictability, by the wonderful irrationality that all living things share. That's humanity's real gift to the galaxy, not our inverse quantum drives or our neural interfaces, but our reminder that true strength lies in embracing the unknown, in thinking beyond patterns, in daring to be unpredictable. As the Council debated humanity's role in the new galactic order, Elena smiled to herself. They had sacrificed their hidden advantages, yes, but they had gained something far more valuable: the chance to help build a galaxy where species worked together openly, where innovation wasn't hidden away in secret fleets, where the chaotic beauty of life could flourish without fear of those who would impose perfect order. The Void Hunters were gone, and with them, the need for humanity's masks. The real work of building a better galaxy could finally begin.